Hey everybody! Now we have another delightful comedy, the classic 1942 film, The Major and the Minor, starring Ginger Rogers and Ray Milland. Now, after being in New York City for a year and not getting any place in work, Susan Applegate, as played by Ginger Rogers, decides to return home by train to Stevenson, Iowa. However, the money she had saved for the trip was not enough due to a recent rate increase. Now, after watching a mother and her children buy tickets, she decides to try making herself look younger so she could buy a half-fare ticket. She manages to get the ticket, but the train conductors are suspicious of her. And when they catch her smoking and give chase, she avoids them by ducking into the drawing room of Major Philip Kirby, Ray Milland. Now, due to his bum eye, as he calls it, he perceives her as the little girl she is pretending to be, and offers her a berth for the night. Now, the next morning, some flooding delays the train, and Philip's fiancée, Pamela Hill, Rita Johnson, along with her father and Philip's commanding officer, Colonel Oliver Slater Hill, as played by Edward Fielding, come to get him. They find Susan, or Susu as she is now calling herself, in Philip's compartment and leave in a huff. Now, Philip, realizing he is in trouble, convinces Susu to come with him to Wallace Military Institute to help him out. He gets out of trouble, and Susu is offered a room with Pamela's younger sister, Lucy, Diana Lynn. Now, Lucy quickly figures out that Susan is older than she is pretending to be, and decides to enlist her help. Now, Philip has just returned from Washington, where he'd been trying to get back into active service instead of just teaching at the Wallace Military Institute. But behind his back, Pamela had been trying to prevent him getting into active service. And Lucy doesn't like that and wants to help him out. Now, after dealing with the young cadets, Susan is able to impersonate Pamela on the phone for one of her friends with the husband who is high up in the military. At the school dance, Philip receives word that he had gotten his transfer. Susan plans to reveal herself to him after the dance, but Pamela had discovered the truth and blackmails Susan into leaving without telling Philip anything. Now, The Major and the Minor was the first American film directed by Billy Wilder. He, along with his co-writer Charles Brackett, had written a number of movies together, but Billy Wilder had yearned to direct some of those movies, especially since some of the stuff he'd written would be getting vetoed by some of the actors and directors he was working with. Finally given a chance, he decided to do a movie that would have some commercial appeal so that it wouldn't be his last film. Now, Ginger Rogers was who he wanted for the part, and apparently she liked both the script and the idea of him as a director. For her, the story was a familiar concept, as honestly she had lived that way when she was younger, trying to make herself appear a little younger when traveling with her mother so that she could get half-fare tickets due to a lack of funds. Although admittedly that was probably when she was still young enough that she could actually pull off the half-fare tickets and whatnot. Now, I know this movie's not for everyone. As much as the movie relies on the idea that a woman in her mid-20s, that's the character's age, not Ginger's, as she was about 30 at this time, could pass for a 12-year-old, it strains credibility, I know that. But to be fair, the train conductors are suspicious from the start. Diana Lynn's Lucy figures it out quickly, and Rhea Johnson's Pamela and her father at first assume her to be an adult woman, until they are given context by Ray Milland's Philip. Now, of course, the cadets are also a problem, considering most of them would, and should, get in trouble, especially in today's Me Too culture. I mean, it's really hard to know how to feel about Major Kirby, considering we do see him develop an attraction to the 12-year-old Susu. But at the same time, we also see when he catches himself doing that, he goes, yeah. So it does bother him a bit. I mean, in some ways, I would say that their relationship in this movie almost kind of reminds me of Mulan and Shang from the animated Disney film. Now, in spite of all those issues, I really enjoy this movie. For me, it is worth watching for Ginger Rogers alone. For that reason, I'd be hard-pressed to try the 1955 remake, You're Never Too Young, with Jerry Lewis taking over Ginger's role. Now, this movie does have many fun moments, whether they be set when she is buying her ticket at the train station, or dealing with the train conductors, or trying to deal with the cadets on the switchboard. While I'm not fond of the cadets trying to put the move on her, it is funny to see her use the same strategy on Major Kirby at the end of the movie. I mean, this is definitely a movie from another time when things were a lot more innocent and kids could potentially be safer when traveling alone, or somebody else could be more helpful without being dangerous. I always enjoy watching this movie, and I would easily recommend trying it out, at least if you can get past some of the issues I mentioned before. This movie is now available on Blu-ray from Arrow Films, and it was previously released on DVD by Universal Studios. The Blu-ray release from Arrow looks fantastic in my opinion. Sure, there may be a few scratches here and there, but otherwise, the transfer is as good as I could hope for. So far, this is my first disc from Arrow, and if their other releases look this good, as I've heard, then I look forward to more from this label. The movie is 1 hour and 40 minutes in length. Well, that's all I have to say on this one, everybody. Thanks for listening, and I hope you'll keep coming back for more.